a cold mid-November night, the Stroh Center lit up and ready for the business of college basketball, all the way in from Tampa, Florida, the South Florida Bulls against the Bowling Green Falcons. Good evening, Jim Barber, the coach. Mark Adams still trying to come down for that midnight special the other night at Wichita State on ESPN. You have two teams tonight that played well in the first week of activity, but not much is expected, and why is that?
Well, because both teams really have struggled last season. They're coming back with some new guys that make them better. But overall, the prognosticators say that South Florida picked 8th in the American. And how about Bowling Green picked at the bottom of the MAC East? Both teams with a lot to prove tonight. Both teams seem to be much improved to me, Jim. And I think this is going to be another triple overtime thriller as it was one season ago.
Wouldn't that be nice? Let's talk about the improvement for the South Florida Bulls as we go one-on-one and we talk shot blockers and we talk two guys that are rookies.
South Florida can intimidate you. Chris Perry, with a 7'4" wingspan, is a great help side defender that can rotate and block shots. And John Egbunu, 1.5 blocks per game. He's a big guy that moves his feet well. He's a space eater inside. And those shot blockers will go against Lewis Orr and Bowling Green tonight as they will play Lewis Orr basketball inside out. Spencer Parker is Mr. Inside at 16 points per game. When he can't score against the shot blockers, he'll be looking to get it out to the hot shooting Anthony Henderson on the perimeter. So you got shot blockers who can intimidate inside, then you got the inside-out strategy of Lewis Orr and Bowling Green.
Both teams are missing important starters for the South Florida Bulls. Anthony Collins may play tonight. He's their fine point guard, still battling a knee injury, and ditto that for Chauncey Orr, who will not play tonight. The coach's son is out. Still some swelling on one of his knees, and he may get a chance to see action within the next week. That's Stan Heath. Here's his coaching profile. Just a couple of years ago, Big East Coach of the Year. So he took his team to the NCAA tournament. In fact, as a head coach, he's done that 4 times, 02, 06, 07, and again, the aforementioned 2012. And for Louis Orr, he was the 2008-09 MAC Coach of the Year, the Big East Coach of the Year back in 2002 and 3, played in the NBA for 8 seasons, and he was a collegiate All-American at Syracuse University. 8:38 Eastern Time to start tonight. Nice to have you with us wherever you're watching this evening. Get together with what should be a pretty competitive game tonight, and a lot of shot blocks expected because of the fact that these two teams have players that can rise above the rim.
Now, Rashawn Holmes for Bowling Green with 105 career blocks. Cam Black with 73 blocks last season. So both teams really have very similar strengths, Jim, that they can intimidate inside.
The orange and white uniforms belong to the Falcons of Bowling Green. As we take a look at the series history, it's limited, but Mark mentioned this earlier. What a game last year, lasting 3 overtimes, won by South Florida 87-84 in a game that Louis Orr, the head coach of Bowling Green, still has some poor memories about. In fact, he thought as he looked back to that probably should have coached a little different down the stretch, but what a great game that was as Bowling Green came from way back and had a chance.
Well, it's always a tough decision when you are up 3 with under 8 or 9 seconds to go. Do you foul the opponents and put them on the line, or do you play defense? In this case, last season, Lewis Orr decided to play defense, and ultimately South Florida came back to win that basketball game in 3 overtimes.
And South Florida with a non-conference schedule rated number 3 toughest in the AAC by ESPN.com.
Now, South Florida will take on Marcus Smart and Oklahoma State coming up, and Josh Pastner and the Memphis Tigers will also come a-calling to Tampa.
You'll have the privilege of seeing some of that basketball here in the near future.
And Bowling Green has been so effective here at the Stroh Center, 24-9 the last 2 seasons.
We are ready to play. And on a tip basketball, the Bulls get the first opportunity to score. Without their lead guard, number 11, Anthony Collins, who they want to get back into action so that by the time they get to number 8, Oklahoma State, he'll be ready to go and play at full bore.
Yeah, without Collins, it really changes the dynamics of this team. Very savvy basketball player.
Rick Pitino says about Anthony Collins, the Louisville head coach and coach of the defending national champions, he plays so low to the ground, he's very difficult to get a hold of because of his low center of gravity.
He's got a little bit of Ray Rice in his game.
Yes, he does.
The Baltimore Ravens.
That's Corey Allen Jr. who's had a nice start to the 2-0 season for the Bulls. And 15 on this opening possession.
You will see Bowling Green basically play defense to the three-point line. They will dare USF to shoot the basketball from behind the arc.
Playing a lot of 2-3 zone, force the Bulls deep in the shot clock, and they come up empty. This is Javon Clark who runs the point for the Falcons. On the handoff, Holmes. Corey Allen Jr. is 152 pounds, allegedly soaking wet. They put a little weight on him, but it'll take time. 2 against 1.
Spencer Parker, one of those attack guys for Lewis Orr and Bowling Green, getting out in the 94-foot situation.
And getting a chance to start tonight in place of the injured Orr. Bulls trying to go inside and turn the ball over for the second time in the first minute and a half.
One lesson that you need to learn as a point guard is never lead a big guy when he's sitting on the block. Oftentimes, guards will try to whip that pass around, anticipating the big guy will move and come out to the basketball. It just doesn't happen. You can't lead a big guy who's sitting on the block.
Clark matched up against Corey Allen Jr. Straight man-to-man for the Bulls. See a lot of zone tonight for the Falcons. Trying to go alley-oop on this one. Falcons get it back, and a difficult pass inside. Does pick up a foul on South Florida.
We just saw the ranginess of Chris Perry getting that deflection on the backside lob. Watch the defenders react and go get it.
Martino Brock, wearing 0, picks up the personal foul. Neither team had trouble scoring the ball in their opening games, but they were up against, in most instances, some overmatched competition. Henderson rises, and it remains 2-0. Bulls hoping to push the basketball a little bit more this year. In fact, they worked with a 20-second shot clock during practices this year to preseason to try to get the ball up to the rim a little quicker.
USF averaged just over 59 points per game. So far this season, over 81 points per game.
Yeah.
And that's not because of the new emphasis on the old rules. It's simply because this team is really getting out and going under Stan Heath. And Louis Orr knows his team's got to get back defensively.
J.D. Tisdale, who's a freshman from Flint, Michigan, makes his first appearance. And for the moment, Bowling Green uncertain who comes out. And Rashawn Holmes is replaced.
I'll bet you will see Bowling Green play about 5 minutes of man-to-man, and that's why. I'm not sure they can take away dribble penetration. I think you'll see Bowling Green go 2-3 zone very early in this basketball game.
Yes, a 2-3 zone. Who's that remind you of, by the way?
Jim Boeheim, Syracuse. The Louie and Bowie show.
Yes, sir. Tisdale with a short jumper. He misses from the outside. We stay at 2-2. We've already played 3 minutes.
Good defensive transition.
And on the cut to the goal by Chris Perry, he is called for an offensive foul. With the new rules this year, we don't anticipate a whole lot of charges called, but that was fairly obvious there.
And Cameron Black did an excellent job of establishing his defensive position early. There he is. You know, it's so close now. The new rule is the ball, if it's going up for a pass or going up for a shot, you must be set. That was a bang-bang play right there.
Trying to improve freedom of movement in the game and try to get more scoring, as the scoring has gone down over the years.
Well, last year was the least number of fouls called per team in NCAA history, and the scoring averages were down at the 1950s level.
Parker inside, missing, and Rudd cleans it up. He's the fifth-year senior who has played on an NCAA tournament team, hailing originally from Los Angeles, California.
Yeah, watch Victor Rudd, number 2 in green tonight, all night long. He's averaged over 18 points per game. What I love about him is when he gets to the free throw line, he makes free throws, nearly 90% in this early season.
That's a 3 on the way. Mentioning Rudd, he's the patch guy, according to his head coach. On the break, Henderson.
Nice.
Anthony Henderson, known as the slasher, slashing the goal there with contact. Foul call on the Falcons. Javon Clark picks it up, and Clark also appears to have been wrapped in the head a bit, or close to his eyes.
Jim, you know what I liked about that play? The Cameron Black came from the backside for Bowling Green at 6'10", knowing there was probably going to be contact, and still blocked the shot. Now, that doesn't count as a block shot, but there's no way that Allen, in that situation, it looks like he's going in for basically an uncontested layup. And I like the way Cameron Clark rotated to the back, rotated to the backside.
Kind of sends a message there, too.
Sure does. Gets in people's heads.
Black, by the way, with 102 career blocks entering tonight's game. Just about to the 16-minute mark, and only 8 points scored so far. Clark and Allen, it's a pretty good matchup.
Well, that's good defense by Allen.
Clark tries to split the defenders, and it's a Bowling Green turnover.
Boy, Allen so quick on the ball defensively. Corey Allen, number 4, at 6'1", really moves his feet well defensively, and that's a premium now. You can't lay hands on people. You've got to play defense with your feet.
Just shy of a triple-double in the lopsided win over Bethune-Cookman. 21 points, 9 rebounds, and 7 assists for number 4. Drive on the baseline, scored. That's Musa Abdul-Alim with a drive to the goal, and with the basket, South Florida has the early lead, 6-4. With that, we step aside. The AAC and the MAC doing battle tonight on Friday night in Bowling Green, Ohio. Head coach of the South Florida Bulls is Stan Heath, his 7th season. He is 3-0 against Bowling Green, and why is that? Well, this neck of the woods is not a stranger to him.
Stan Heath, first of all, was an assistant at Bowling Green under Jim Larinaga, eventually ascended to the head coaching position at Kent State. And who can forget his first season at Kent State as a head coach? In 2002, Kent State, the number 10 seed in the NCAA tournament, what did they do? They knocked off Oklahoma State, Alabama, and Pitt to go all the way to the Elite Eight, knocked off by Indiana. And who were the 2 great players on that team, Jim? Do you remember? One is an all-pro tight end consistently.
San Diego Chargers.
That's right. Antonio Gates and Trevor Huffman made so many big shots after big shots. Huffman was one of those guys that just understood game situation and made shot after shot in that NCAA tournament. What a great tradition at Kent State, and congratulations to Rob Senderoff. Kent State knocking off Temple during the ESPN tip-off marathon. What a great win for the MAC.
Big win last night for Toledo over Boston College in a shootout in which both teams scored in the 90s. Here it is 6-4 South Florida, 4.5 minutes in. Home orange and white uniforms belong to the Falcons, who try to attack inside.
Hard to go high-low against the athleticism of South Florida. Egbunu, just a long guy.
Yeah.
Takes up space inside. He's got long arms. Hard to throw it over him.
6'10" and 245 pounds. Victor Roy with a handoff to Corey Allen. Leaves it way short. Whistle, contact inside, and that'll be on Bowling Green.
Well, I like John Egbunu. Saw him go up for the offensive rebound there. He jumps. He's just one of those quick jumping guys, very explosive.
Rashawn Holmes, expected to figure mightily in tonight's game, has already picked up 2 personal fouls, 5 minutes in, so already take away one of those shot blockers. In fact, he's the guy that Louis Orr thinks Mark will play at the next level, potentially.
Well, when you look at the athleticism, you tend to agree. He's got a big upside.
But he'll be on the shelf for a while. Bulls 6, Falcons 4. Here's Victor Rudd with nowhere to go, and the shot clock is under 10.
Look at the white jerseys just packing in.
Allen on the baseline, in trouble, turns it over.
Great defense by Bowling Green.
Javon Clark looking for traffic, gets it inside Parker. It's a nice play by Clark. He looked to his right, instead threw to his left.
Now Clark showed a lot of patience right there.
He might have figured in more of the team's success last year, but he had a nagging ankle injury and missed 7 games. Parker on the break to Clark, and it's blocked. Victor Rudd got a hold of that and back the other way to Brock.
Well, if you make a mistake, that's the difference with South Florida this year. If you make a mistake, they make you pay immediately on the opposite end.
Turn defense into offense, and it's 8-6 in favor of the Bulls. Bowling Green without Chauncey Orr tonight, who has scored in double figures in their lopsided victory over Earlham. He is nursing a swollen knee. Rudd on the drive to the goal, unable to finish. Foul call, though, outside. And that's on 35, Cameron Black. We're talking about some of the mid-major upsets. And there's a look at Kent State's victory over Temple, 81-77. And Toledo's got a nice-looking team this year.
Toledo over Boston College. How about Tyler Hawes and that offensive explosion by BYU over Stanford, 112-103. Northern Colorado over Kansas State. And some great wins by what some folks call the mid-majors this season. UMass, of course, they're in the A-10. Knocked off their in-state rival Boston College. VCU, what a win for them at Virginia, 59-56. Shaka Smart, that's a team that could go to the Final Four this year. Very, very talented. Bucknell knocking off Penn State. How big of a win is that for Bucknell?
Huge.
To go win at Penn State, 90-80. So far, Jim, 16 times in the first 7 days of the season. Some of those nondescript, those schools that maybe other folks don't know about, don't hear about a whole lot, have knocked off the high major programs.
By the way, speaking of Shaka Smart, surprised he did not go to UCLA?
Not really. Kind of like Greg Marshall, you know, kind of like Mark Few. Those guys are figuring out they've got a pretty good gig where they're at.
Matt Stevens announcing around the 4th of July he was leaving Butler for the Boston Celtics. Put together a 4-game win streak already early in the NBA season.
Brad Stevens, if he is given the tools to win the NBA, there's no question he can coach. And the reason why, Jim, so many NBA games get down to those last 15 seconds when you've got to draw up a play and you've got to be creative on the side out of bounds. And Brad Stevens is as good as anybody in college basketball or pro basketball of getting a shot off in that situation.
Rally from 4 back with 3.8 seconds to beat the Heat on Saturday night.
Yeah, I rest my case.
Bulls with the basketball, the visiting green uniforms. They have a 9-6 lead. Foul difficulties for Rashawn Holmes of Bowling Green, one of their shot blockers. He's already on the bench with a couple. Ball loose and taken away. Anthony Henderson in the open court, the junior from nearby Toledo, about 35 minutes away.
Yeah, well known in these parts, and right there showed off some of his defensive prowess.
On the drive to the goal, that's a basket and one, and a pretty move by 21, Javonte Hawkins. And speaking of local guys, he grew up in Flint, so he's got several fans in attendance tonight to watch him play.
Bowling Green with those quick hands up front. That's why you stay in a stance. You got your hands low. You trace the basketball. Great defense leads to easy offense for Bowling Green.
Clark nearly with an unforced error. Henderson on the baseline.
Nice.
The general feeling is the rules will benefit this slasher.
He's one of those athletic guys that get by and make a play. We just saw it right there.
Scoring starting to pick up after a difficult start for both teams.
If this is the 6th team in the MAC East,
Watch
the other
out.
5 must be really good.
Yeah. On the baseline, soft right hook. Zach Leday.
He brings the energy to this South Florida basketball team. Tough, tough kid.
Averaged 5 points, couple of rebounds per game last year. Foul disparity in this game. Falcons have 6, Bulls just 2. Javonte Clark trying to get things going with 10 on the shot clock. Handoff for the 3.
Not a whole lot of second chance points for Bowling Green. South Florida did a good job on the defensive glass.
Tough catch there and almost turned over, but the ball remains in the hands of the South Florida Bulls, who have the early advantage in this game. 13-10, reached the 11-minute mark of the opening half here on ESPN3. Louis Orr, the head coach of Bowling Green, his team assembling before the whistle blows and will restart play. Orr is in the final year of a contract extension. No extension or new deal has been offered from the new AD, Chris Kingston, here at Bowling Green. And we asked Orr about that today. He says, well, I'm a man of faith. And whatever God has planned, that's fine with me. You know, you can get fired at the end of a contract or at the beginning of one.
And athletic directors are paid to make those kinds of decisions, but having been in the spot that Louis Orr's in the last year of his contract, you know, you really don't have any control over it. All you can control is your effort to prepare your team every day, and you become laser focused on that and that alone. A lot of people make a big deal out of it outside of the program. For me, it really wasn't a big deal. And we saw today for Lewis Orr, wasn't a big deal either. He's going to prepare his team to the best of his ability.
I asked him if he's had contact with Kingston from time to time. Of course, it's his boss and work in the same area. He says, well, I don't have any contagious disease. Of course, I would talk to him and be on friendly terms with him.
My boss did think I had a contagious disease.
Well, that explains it then. But you came close to getting your team in the NCAA tournament one year.
Came real close. Came real close.
Air ball free throw attempt by Chris Perry. This one hits the rim, but spins out. So it's a nothing possession there for South Florida. Still the 13-10 advantage. And contact outside on 21 Hawkins. You cannot put your hands on people this year.
Yeah, we really haven't seen an overabundance of fouls here, though, early in the game. 10 minutes into the game, there have been 10 fouls called total. Both teams playing pretty good defense with their feet so far.
Unlike our game with the Cincinnati Bearcats last week in the AAC.
Yeah. North Carolina Central and Cincinnati, we were there for a while, Jim. We got paid by the hour.
Yes, sir.
Point.
And the drive to the basket. First attempt missed and then tipped back in by Josh Gomez. A lot of upside for this guy.
That's where the rotation of shot blockers can leave the backside offensive glass wide open. When you could break the defense and get dribble penetration, watch the green jerseys pursue to the basketball and watch what happens on the backside. Because of the rotation, nobody blocks off. It's an easy putback on the backside. Shot blockers are great as helpers, but you give up the backside boards if your guards don't drop and block off.
Gomez is a transfer from Iona in his first exhibition game here. He played 6 minutes and fouled out. Since then, he's played better, and he's expected to be that third inside guy for the Bowling Green Falcons.
Now, a year ago, this would have been reviewed for an elbow to the face. This was a basketball play, and let's see if they're going to review this now.
They are.
They are.
So what's your take on the change in the rules this year? Because they have addressed the flagrant 1 and 2, and they certainly have taken a look at adding more things to the use of the monitor as opposed to less.
Well, first of all, I've never been a proponent of doing this, reviewing the elbow rule. To me, he's squaring up with the basketball, call the foul. It's a common foul. Let's go play. There wasn't any intent there, but this now could turn into a flagrant 1 or possibly a flagrant 2. It's not going to do that. And so I don't like the stoppage of the game for a play like that. I think an official should be able to use his common sense and make the call. Secondly, when we talk about the enforcing of the rules, there aren't a whole lot of new rules. There's a lot of old rules that are being re-emphasized. And I like that because it is allowing for freedom of motion. Offensive players squaring up with the basketball, catches the defender in the jaw. Okay, let's call it a foul. It's a common foul. Let's move on from there. But there's so many nuances to the elbow rule, and it's changed every year. There's been little changes made here and there, and we stop play right now. For what reason? I like the common sense of the official, and I think it should be left to the common sense of the official.
Somewhat ironic, don't you think? We're emphasizing freedom of movement, but we're stopping freedom of momentum because we're getting more stoppages potentially in the game.
We do get stoppages. Now, I think that'll change over time, Jim, as coaches and players adjust, and I think the coaches and players are adjusting. But the other types of rules that I don't like in review is to review the three-point shot, for example. I mean, we're playing with basically 1950s technology. We go to a monitor to see if a foot is on the line. When we go to Wimbledon and see if a 130-mile-per-hour tennis ball touches a line, we have technology to do those things.
Good point.
We have cars that drive themselves, basically. You know, and we can't have an electronic type of monitor on the three-point line, where a sensor in the gym shoe that determines where that shoe is at the shot, and we just continue to play. Instead, we go to the monitor and spend 2-3 minutes wasting everybody's time. Doesn't make any sense to me.
We have 3 solid officials tonight, but should this particular visit to the monitor take so much time?
So it looks like we're going to have a shooting foul. And from the looks of it, it looks like it's going to be called a flagrant 1. Flagrant 1, not a legitimate play on the ball, hold or push from behind, illegal elbow above the shoulders. That's what this is.
Yes.
Flagrant 2, excessive contact during live ball, excessive contact during dead ball, extreme vulgar abusive conduct. Obviously, that wasn't it. So it looks like we got a flagrant one. Yeah, flagrant one, so it'll be two free throws plus possession for Bowling Green.
J.D. Tisdale from Flint, Michigan is no stranger to Javante Hawkins, who's also from the same town for the South Florida Bulls. In fact, they've been tweeting each other during the course of the last couple of days, getting ready for tonight.
By rule, that's a flagrant one. I think that the officials absolutely called it right by the rule. But, Jim, my old coaching opinion, an old playing opinion, that's a common foul. I don't think there was any malicious intent. I just think it was two players playing really hard, but there was some contact. That's my opinion.
And not that any of us are in a hurry to get out of here tonight, but that took a good couple of minutes to determine at the scores table.
It slows down the momentum of the game. I'd rather have the common sense of the official make the decision right then and there.
Agreed. Falcons with the basketball, they trail by a point. Without Chauncey Orr tonight due to a knee injury. That's Javon Clark long on that shot. On the fight for the loose ball, J.D. Tisdale picks it up to Henderson. Open look for Clark.
Good ball movement right there. Javon Clark had his feet set, hands ready, let it fly quickly.
First made three of the night. Clark had a huge game last year in a loss to Michigan State. He had 14 points in just 12 minutes of play.
Well, look how soft the man-to-man is. All the white jerseys around the paint. There's the double.
Chris Perry tried to make something happen on the baseline, got bumped. That's on Parker. That is team foul number 8, by the way. Just 4 so far on South Florida. And to the free throw line, Chris Perry.
Parker, a sophomore, went lock-kneed defensively. Whenever you do that on a big, he's just going to spin right around you.
So 1 in bonus for South Florida for the remaining 9 minutes plus of the first half. There's that matchup, 45 feet from the goal between Clark and Allen.
Well, Allen has great feet on the ball.
He sure
if
does.
You want to know how to play defense on the ball, just watch number 4, Allen. I mean, Corey Allen gets down the stance, he moves his feet, he's constantly focused on belly button, he does everything right defending on the ball. When we talked about he's 152 pounds, he plays a lot stronger.
He does. And again, he replaces Anthony Collins for the moment, who's nursing a knee injury, expected to go back at the point, and Collins also plays quite low to the ground and difficult to get a handle. Lead pass to Tisdale, off the turnover, JD to goal, and that one is blocked again by Victor Rudd.
There's that shot blocking ability from South Florida. Watch Victor Rudd. See how he gets an angle right there? He literally goes underneath the backboard because he's got that angle to take directly up to the rim. That's good shot block preparation right there. See a lot of guys that go at the player. He went to the rim. Well done.
For Rudd, this is his 69th game as a member of South Florida, and he has fouled out just once in his career. So he stays on the floor.
There you see why. Very smart defender.
Has an NBA-like body, don't you think?
He really does.
Bad pass picked up by Clark. He'll make it pay.
Well, he walked.
And he also missed the layup.
And why? Because the shot block on the previous shot. He looked over his shoulder to see if there were any green jerseys behind him. I mean, absolutely wide open. Javon Clark, and he looked over his shoulder and felt shot blockers.
I always keep track of the shots that are blocked, but an interesting number would be to see how many shots are altered.
That one was psychologically altered.
Parker inside. Spencer Parker getting a chance to start tonight.
He's going to be a tough matchup in the MAC at 6'7". He's one of those attack guys. Can play a little 3, little 4, guard a 2. He's got some flexibility to his game.
Played for Fishburne Military Prep, which has produced 10 Division I players. 3-point play for the Falcons, their largest lead of the first half at 5. This is an 8-0 run. Can Allen stop it? Yes, with a 3 from the outside by Corey Allen Jr.
Well, he's just non-stop. If I had one word to describe him, relentless.
Yep.
Corey Allen, number 4 in green.
18-16. We're under the 8-minute television timeout mark. Next whistle, we take a break. Henderson missing on that three. Collins in the game. That's a good sign for South Florida. Here's their starting point guard dishing inside. Ball deflected, but back up and in by Agbunu.
John Agbunu just stayed with it. That collapsing defense causes a lot of traffic inside. Agbunu's strong enough to finish. It's a good basketball game.
And the general feeling from the South Florida people, we won't see a lot of Collins tonight, but just enough to get him back in the flow, and hopefully by the time they get to Oklahoma State, he'll be ready to go. And they'll need him.
Against Marcus Smart and the Cowboys.
Even up at 7:20 remaining in the first half, and an 18-18 tie, and this is John Agbunu from Fort Walton Beach, Florida, the freshman. Welcome back. The time of the broadcast you've been waiting for. Mark's preseason top 5 picks. And what, Duke wasn't eligible this year?
Louisville, Michigan State, Kansas, Kentucky, and Wichita State. You heard it here first. And Jim, let's say that, for example, Louisville goes to the Final Four and they won the national championship. They've got 3 starters returning. They're ranked number 1 or 2.
Yep.
You take a Michigan State, they had 4 starters returning. Arizona, who's ranked in just about every poll in the top 6 or 7, 3 starters returned. Didn't go to the Final Four, by the way. Duke with 3 starters returning. Wichita State with Clay Anthony Early, Ron Baker, and Fred Van Vliet in one of the best recruiting classes as far as combination junior college and high school. I think Wichita State deserves to at least be in the conversation. Nobody else has it. I'm the only one that does. We'll see how it plays out, but I'm also the first guy that said that Gonzaga would be number 1 last season.
And you were right, until they got to Butler.
Until they played Wichita State.
Yeah.
There you go. I rest my case.
That's true.
Nice try, though.
18-18 tie with 7 minutes to go in the first half. Well, Rick Pitino had said before the Final Four last year he thought Wichita State could win it all.
Wichita State had a 13-point lead on Louisville with 13 minutes to go.
Yes, sir.
If not for 7 turnovers over 6 minutes and 48 seconds late in the second half, we would have Wichita State playing for the national title. But those are all the what-ifs that don't count.
Yep. Inside pass. Agbunu with position and a foul called on Cameron Black. So the big guys for Bowling Green are picking up fouls and having difficulty defending inside. Rashawn Holmes had 2 fouls just moments into this game.
So how long do you think that exchange before it goes viral and I start hearing from the Duke fans?
I think it already has.
And Agbunu really has good hands. 6'10", 245-pound freshman. He's just explosive. He's a quick jumper. He's got good hands. He's going to be something special.
Might be the team's best low post scorer, potentially. We mentioned from Fort Walton Beach, Florida, which is near Mobile, Alabama.
He is a big dude. He's really well put together.
We have another big dude on the bench at 7'3", 315.
There's the block right there. Man, is he good.
Third of the game for the Bulls. Corey Allen, the open court. Missed it and cleaned up by Egbunu.
John Egbunu changing the game on the defensive end, then sprinting the floor on the offensive end.
South Florida's answered an 8-0 run for Bowling Green with an 8-0 run of its own and leads 21-18. Nobody picking up inside an Egbunu. He just missed an easy one, though. Now he gets tied up in a triple team competition and fails to score.
He missed the first one, but then out-jumped everybody. Just pogo sticked right into the second one.
He's going to be good in this conference.
Really, really good.
5:45 left in a rapidly moving first half.
I mean, Cameron Black, the senior, 6'10", 248 for Bowling Green's a good player.
It's a tough pass from Clark. And turned over to the South Florida Bulls and Musa Abdul, lead number 1. Here's Anthony Collins. Sneaking inside and held up and hands it off to Egbunu. Timeout, Louis Orr and Bowling Green. 10 straight points for the South Florida Bulls.
You love big guys that stay in the moment, that stay in the play. There's the block shot. Now he's got 7 guys in front of him. Look what Egbunu does. He outruns everybody and slams it home on the offensive end. That is effort combined with athleticism, combined with quick jumping ability, and watch the catch right there. Most big guys, that hits off their right ear and goes out of bounds. Not John Egbunu. That kid is a freshman. I love him, Jim.
He runs the floor like a deer, according to his head coach at the top of your screen, Stan Heath. Bulls had their biggest lead in the first half after trailing by 5. If you're Bowling Green, how do you counter some of that height and particularly some of that defensive shot blocking?
Well, the first thing you got to do, you got to run with Egbunu. There's no excuse for letting him outrun you down the floor. That's an effort thing. You got to start first with your defensive transition. On the offensive end, and shot blockers, you got to go to their body. You can't go to the rim. You got to go to their body to draw contact and protect the basketball and take it to the rim.
A lot of upside for this South Florida team, which struggled last year. Off to a 2-0 start with victories so far this year.
We had Cincinnati a week ago, who just knocked off North Carolina State. I'm impressed with the athleticism of this South Florida basketball team.
It's going to be a team that people are going to have to look out for. Cincinnati at home tomorrow, an afternoon game against Appalachian State.
South Florida's picked 8th in the American.
It's hard to believe. Javon Clark trying to do a crossover, and I think Collins got a hold of him and whacked him. Good to see Anthony Collins back out there. He has had limited practice duty. Had surgery on his left knee late in the summer, kind of waited toward the end of the summer to see how things were going to develop, and as a result, it's been a slow return to action for number 11. But he will figure mightily into this team's success. Another missed 3 from the outside for Bowling Green. Just 1 of 6. Clark tried to clean it up, missed it. Third try, got it.
Clark stayed with it. Josh Gomez was really the guy that made it happen. Getting that offensive glass work, little nifty bounce pass inside. Well done by the big guy.
Yeah, pretty active on the boards for 6'1" Clark, who grew up in Canton, Ohio.
Bowling Green has done a good job in their half-court defense. Well, they've gotten beaters in full-court sets. In half-court, this sagging man-to-man has been effective against South Florida.
So is the sagging man-to-man more like a zone or a matchup zone?
It is a lot like a zone.
Abdul Leem beats the shot clock, misses the shot. 23-20, we remain. Gomez for 3. Nice. He can knock those down.
He gets an offensive rebound coming off the bench. He gets a little nifty bounce pass inside, then knocks down a 3. That's called depth, and that's called commitment by a guy sitting on the bench waiting for his turn.
The book on Josh Gomez, he can stretch the defense, and he did it just there to tie the game at 23. half, and South Florida regains the lead on the drive to the goal, 25-23.
When you sag defensively, the last thing you want to see is dribble penetration to the basket uncontested.
High pick set by Gomez, frees up Clark for the jumper, but he misses. Rebound Corey Allen.
Corey Allen, he's not afraid to defensively rebound, is he?
No, sir, and that's a foul in the open court on Javon Clark. Let's go away again with 3:22 to go in the first half. Welcome back. Dave Clausen, the fine football coach at Bowling Green, will join us at the break to talk about the Falcons' chances of winning the MAC Eastern Division and making it to the MAC Championship game at Ford Field in Detroit. Meanwhile, this is basketball here tonight with the coach Mark Adams. Jim Barber, you're in the birdcage this evening.
Little MAC versus the American.
Let's take a look at Mark's next Final Four. What a surprise. Wichita State, I would never have guessed it.
Who's going to fly below the radar and do it again? Possibly Wichita State, Shaka Smart, and VCU absolutely loaded. Tommy Amaker has a great basketball team up at Amherst this year. Watch out for them. And North Dakota State, Taylor Braun. Remember that name. This is a team that's way below the radar, but this is a team that's very, very good. Jake Odom at Indiana State could beat anybody. How about Southern Miss knocking off DePaul last night? How can we forget Gonzaga? I mean, it's like Gonzaga went away because a couple guys go to the NBA. Gonzaga, very, very good. Kevin Pango's still there. Sam Dower.
Saul Phillips, head coach of North Dakota State. Remember a few years ago, almost upset Kansas opening round in the Metrodome at that time.
All 5 starters return on that North Dakota State team, and Taylor Braun, who was hurt early in the season last year and then came on. Remember Nate Walters from South Dakota State last year? Well, North Dakota State is the new South Dakota State. The Bison. Pretty good football, too.
Oh, yeah. Won a number of championships up this year, and will figure mightily in the FCS playoffs that you'll see on ESPN3 in late November and early December. Tisdale on the drive to the goal. J.D. Tisdale, the freshman from Flint.
Really good offensively. Athletic, long, active, very good in the open court. Number 1, J.D. Tisdale. Keep your eye on him. And for the first time tonight, Bowling Green goes 2-3 zone.
A staple of Jim Boeheim and all those years at Syracuse, where Louis Orr starred for 4 seasons.
They play it lower, though. They don't cheat up quite as far as Syracuse does.
Unforced error there.
And amazing how many times when you switch a defense, the offense adjusts, and a mental error like that takes place.
Is the reaction initially for the offense, we haven't seen this before? What's this all about?
Well, think about it. You've got Corey Allen sitting on the bench right now, and Louis Orr goes 2-3 zone, and you got a backup point guard making decisions now.
Good time to do it. Gomez again for the outside. What a stroke he's got.
Corey Allen, he'll read the defense. He'll take control of this possession.
7 points for Josh Gomez. On the other end, shot missed, cleaned up by Egbunu.
Strong, strong hands. John Egbunu. That was a 50-50 ball, and the big fella just got his paws on it.
Egbunu has 7 points in the game to go along with 7 from Allen. Offense starting to pick up on both sides. On the cut, Henderson leaves it short. A rebound taken down by Brock, and a foul coming up. Let's take a look at Egbunu again, just a freshman at 6'10".
Watch this ball. It gets tipped. It's a 50-50 ball right there, and he just takes it away. He just took it away from Tisdale. He just said, that's my basketball. It's in my paw. I'm going to take it, and I'm going to score with it.
He had 16 rebounds in the first 2 games of the season, both victories for the Bulls. Gomez missing on the 1-and-1. It remains 29-27 Bulls. So consider this, Falcons without Chauncey Orr, who won't play tonight, one of their starters, and Rashawn Holmes, who got 2 fouls practically off the bus as the game began. Egbunu inside, way far inside, and Gomez can't believe that he's called for a foul.
USF completely flooded the right-hand side of the floor and snuck Egbunu down into the short corner. Watch all the green jerseys that come to the right side, to the ball side. Everybody's over on that side. Egbunu down in that low block area, just in the short corner. That was a well-designed play.
And back to the free throw line, John Egbunu.
It's not like Stan Heath hasn't seen a little bit of Syracuse 2-3 zone on occasion.
No, sir.
All the old Big East days. Of course, now the new Big East. Xavier, Butler, Creighton, joining all the Catholic schools from the old Big East, now the new Big East.
Bulls have struggled with the line tonight. 13 opportunities, that's good. Just 6 makes. Now 7. Clark fending off Allen. Nothing called. Play continues. Tisdale for 3. Looked like there was plenty of contact between the guards.
Yeah, it looked like the offensive player gained unfair advantage.
Yes, sir.
He didn't give the defensive player freedom of movement that time.
Neither team able to get much separation in the first half.
And look how soft this zone is. Again, just begging for the 3 from South Florida. South Florida only shooting 28% from 3 on the season so far going into this game.
8 to shoot it, a minute for the first half, and a big 3 in the corner from Corey Allen, who has 10.
And that kid's tough.
Bulls back up by 6. Clark swatted away by Egbunu, 4th block of the game. Here's Allen, 1 against 2. Missed it. Egbunu out hustles everybody and back to the free throw line for the freshman. Yes, freshman.
Watch John Egbunu. This is why I like the block. Watch what he does. He hits it off the glass. That's what you should do as a shot blocker to keep the ball in play versus knocking it out of bounds. Now you got Allen in the full court, but guess who gets down the floor first? John Egbunu. Welcome to college basketball, young man. Ranked number 64 in the country by Paul Biancardi's staff. Ranked as the 7th big man in the country. This kid, Jim, can really play.
And now that we have a little more freedom of movement, you think that favors shot blockers across the country?
No question, because it's your last line of defense now. I mean, before you could have a backside guy slide in, take the charge. That's much harder to do now. And I think that the new emphasis of the rules put a bigger premium on shot blockers maybe than any other time in college basketball.
Been a disadvantage for Lewis Orr's team because without Orr at 6'4", could play both guard and forward. And Rashawn Holmes at 6'8", who picked up 2 quick fouls, as we mentioned earlier. They've had some difficulty inside, both scoring the ball and defending. 2.5 second difference between shot clock and game clock. Five to shoot it, 8 seconds for the first half. Parker missed on the dunk. Got an open lane, but he got fouled. Let's hope he's okay. Spencer Parker will get 2 free throws.
Lewis Orr defined Spencer Parker as an attack guy. I tend to agree.
Parker in his very first game as a Falcon, 16.6 rebounds and 6 assists in a little more than half the game.
Had some injuries early last season, really never got his game going. But now as a sophomore, he's had that game experience. That's so valuable as a freshman to pick up that game experience. He's really improved his perimeter skills in the offseason. He's going to be a tough matchup in the MAC. One of those tweener kind of guys, hard to match up with.
Gets the offensive rebound. Another shot block. That's 5 for the game. Time running out first half, and Bowling Green unable to capitalize off the offensive rebound and missed free throw.
And Javon Clark had point-blank range. He was intimidated because of the previous shot block. John Egbunu, what a half.
5 block shots and many more altered. At the end of the first half here in Bowling Green, it is 35 for the Bulls and 28 for the Falcons. Spencer Parker getting a chance to start tonight. But the inside play of the Bulls has been too tough. John Egbunu has been terrific with 10 first half points. Dave Clausen, head football coach at Bowling Green, when we come back. Welcome back to ESPN 3 College Basketball tonight. South Florida 35, Bowling Green 28. Jim Barber and Mark Adams. In the first half, that's seeing a lot of swings in this game, but South Florida has the one of most momentum so far. Dave Clausen, the fine coach of Bowling Green, joins us next. Stay with us. And a fine season for this man, Dave Clawson, head football coach at Bowling Green. The Falcons are in position in the East to play for division championship and get to Ford Field in Detroit, Michigan. That's Alex Boyer on a 52-yard catch and score. Matt Johnson, Matt Schultz throwing for touchdowns recently in a blowout win over Ohio, 49-0. Falcons are peaking definitely at the right time. Dave Clawson, the head coach, nice enough to join us a few years ago. It was 2-10 here. You took over and rejuvenated things. How did you get it done?
Well, there's no secret in football. If the better players you have, the better chance you have. So, we've done a nice job recruiting. We've retained the guys that we brought here, and I think we've done a nice job developing them, and they've really come together well. We've got really good senior leadership this year.
The MAC regular season changes from Saturday games in September, October to midweek games, which are more significant typically, which is the case for you. Why playing so well at this point?
You know what, we're young in some positions, and we're a veteran group, and I think everyone's kind of catching up to the pace. And we have a young offensive line. We start 2 freshman tackles, and they're playing like sophomores and juniors now. And we're meshing at a good time. So if I knew why, I would have done it 10 weeks earlier, but we'll take it.
Let's take a look at the MAC Eastern Division standings. That's what matters to Bowling Green most. And a game coming up with Eastern Michigan lies ahead in a week. And after that, regardless of what happens next weekend, you will play for the division championship with Buffalo. Seems as if you and Buffalo have been on a collision course since week 1.
Well, it just so happens we've finished with Buffalo every year the past 3 years. And 2 years ago, that game was more of a toilet bowl. And now it has great meaning. So we've both programs have come a long way. Coach Quinn's done a great job there, and they've gotten better every year. And it's nice to be playing games in November that mean something. I think that's the key to the college football season is you want to keep your season alive. You want to keep your goals alive. If you do that, you've got an enthused group of young men that come to practice and work hard. And I think that's why we're getting better, because the players know they're playing in meaningful games in November.
In a number of years, the Mid-American Conference will add some warm weather bowls, including Boca Raton, Florida, Miami Beach, Florida, and the Bahamas. In the meantime, the MAC is starting to establish, through the commissioner's efforts, some more games in which teams can be eligible for. That's a far cry from what we saw a few years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, this used to be a one big bid, and if lucky, maybe 2. And last year we had 7 bowl teams, and Dr. John Steinbrecher, our commissioner, has been very proactive, promoting our brand, getting our name out there. And I think that the product on the field has really gotten a lot better. I mean, I've been the head coach here now for 5 years, and just the level of play seems to get better every season.
How exciting are the next 2 weeks with Eastern Michigan to finish the games prior to what turns out to be the divisional championship, and then Buffalo for you?
Well, we know that game at Buffalo's there, but it's coach speak, but it's real. You can only get ready for the next game, and Eastern Michigan has some very good players. They won their last game in overtime. They have a little momentum, and they've had 2 weeks to get ready for us. So this is an important game for us, and we know what's ahead after that.
This is the first time I've ever heard a coach say we take them one at a time.
Really?
Well, the first time tonight, anyway. Good to see you again, my friend.
Nice seeing you. Thanks so much for having me on.
Clawson, our special guest, Bowling Green, setting up for a big one in a couple of weeks with Buffalo. We'll come back to basketball and discuss tonight's game of the AAC and the Mid-American Conference, USF and Bowling Green from the Stroh Center. Back in the late night on ESPN3 at the Store Center, the campus of Bowling Green University, where South Florida has the lead at the break, 35-28. A lot of streaks in this game. The last one favoring South Florida, allowing the Bulls to bump out to a 7-point first half lead. How would you assess the first half?
I think pretty much as we prescribed in pregame, and that South Florida is very intimidating inside. 5 block shots, Jim, in the second half, and countless numbers of shots that were changed, that were kind of psychological changes for Bowling Green, just looking over their shoulder. So right now, South Florida exerting their will, and on the opposite end, while Bowling Green's done a good job of defending, they've also fouled and put South Florida on the line quite a bit. That's been the difference in the first half.
South Florida very efficient shooting the ball from the floor, 22 attempts and 12 made field goals.
I like the attack mode of Spencer Parker going right to the rack at 94 feet. But man, it's tough to get high-low against John Egbunu. He just goes so strong to the basket. And there you see the offensive glass work. But again, the big fella inside. Egbunu just too good for South Florida. And Corey Allen, another guy's really made a difference. I think Josh Gomez has to play more here in the second half because he's a three-point shooting threat. And I think he'll bring bigs away from the basket. That's critical for Lewis Orr.
Bowling Green has just made 2 threes in 8 attempts. They have the advantage with points off turnovers, but those 5 blocks have been just so large for South Florida in the first half.
Well, look at the shooting percentage for South Florida, over 54%. 2 for 4 from 3. This is a team that usually shoots 28 from 3, lighting it up tonight at 50%.
Should expect to see Rashawn Holmes, one of the shot blockers for Bowling Green, as we start the second half. He spent almost the entire first half on the bench with 2 personal fouls. Let's get ready for the start of the second half as South Florida ahead of Bowling Green by 7, 35-28. All right, South Florida has 5 blocks in the first half and many other altered field goal attempts. So what does Bowling Green do to try to score the ball a little more effectively?
Well, Bowling Green needs to get out in the open court more like they did early in this basketball game. They were very, very effective. And Jim, it's about defensive transition as well. Bowling Green has to get back before the bigs of South Florida get back, and that's a hard thing to do when it's John Egbunu outrunning you down the floor. He is the best athlete on this floor tonight. In a word, explosive. He has a 40-inch vertical jump and great hands to go along with the athleticism. He can touch the top of the backboard, Jim, and there you see his shot blocking ability as he keeps the ball in play, and there you see his sprinting ability. I love big guys that are willing to run. I love them even more when they sprint.
Fort Walton Beach, Florida, where Egbunu was discovered, is 7 hours away from the campus of South Florida. As we mentioned earlier, very close to Mobile, Alabama. And he has made his presence felt very strongly in the first 20 minutes of this game.
I was blessed to coach two big kids. One was 7'3", the other 7'2". One played in the NBA, the other was the last guy cut by the Utah Jazz. And whenever I evaluate big guys, the first thing I look at is hands. Can they catch the basketball? For John Egbunu, no question. He catches the ball extremely well. Number two, do they move their feet well? Can they run the floor? He runs like a deer. Is he physically tough enough to take the banging inside? The answer is yes. This kid is an NBA player. He's only a freshman. He's really, really good.
Egbunu was originally from Nigeria, came to the United States in 2010. First played basketball at age 16, Mark.
You know, and there you see the upside. That's the potential. That's why I say I think potentially he's an NBA player.
Rashawn Holmes starts the second half for Bowling Green. That'll help their interior game. He is playing on 2 fouls. This is Henderson to Holmes.
Egbunu matched up with Cameron Black down the block. Black finally gets a touch.
And scores inside with a right hook.
Lewis or offense. Inside out. Go inside first. Did it effectively on the first possession. That's good news for Bowling Green.
And against overmatched Earlham in the season opener, 53 points in the paint.
And Bowling Green opens up in that sagging 2-3 zone. They played a majority of man-to-man, almost 15 minutes of man in the first half. Went 2-3 zone late. They're opening in 2-3 zone here in the second half.
And you're saying this is different from what Syracuse operates with.
Syracuse extends more. They tend to, there's a shot block from the backside.
Rashawn Holmes, his 78th career block. First of the night.
Rashawn Holmes, one of the best shot blockers in the Mid-American Conference throughout his career.
Lewis Orr, the head coach, as the shot clock gets down to 5 for South Florida, says about Holmes, if he can continue to develop his body and get physically stronger, he can play at the next level.
He's plus 15 pounds. He's gotten bigger and stronger, but still has those hops to go get the basketball.
Sure. 37-30 our score in favor of the Bulls. Now the rebound to Musa Abdul-Alim. Anderson had an open look, but not against Victor Rudd, who's already blocked 2 in the first half. Gets around Rudd, but misses inside. The Bulls, who will bus to Detroit, Michigan tonight, fly out tomorrow back to Tampa. Direct flight expected to get back in the area of 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Both of these teams on lengthy road trips coming up. Warm weather climate. South Florida goes to Vegas for the Las Vegas Classic. They'll meet up with the likes of Mississippi State and possibly UNLV, and Bowling Green will wind up in Cancun.
See, I think that South Florida should have to go to Alaska to play, and everybody else can go to warm weather. It's just not fair. But they go to Cancun, places like that. It's just not fair, Jim.
I know you took some time to mention that. You didn't bring it up to the coach earlier today. I wanted to make sure our interview continued. 9 points, South Florida lead. And now a steal by Victor Rudd.
That's pretty good.
My.
That's pretty good.
Timeout, Bowling Green. You got bigs who can run the open court.
Good anticipation. To the victor. Go the spoils.
That's Victor Rudd, the fifth-year senior from LA, California. One of the few returning starters for Stan Heath.
Stan Heath calls him the patch guy. Why? Because he patches up a lot of mistakes offensively and defensively. And the thing I like about him is he wants to take and make big shots in big situations. Against Tennessee Tech, he scored 13 out of the final 18 points on the last 3:45 of that victory. Kid's got guts.
As you saw by the numbers, 3 steals in the game for South Florida to go along with 5 blocks. Javonte Clark tries to get it going, but that might have been altered by Egbunu. And a tie-up. And ball over to South Florida. And right now, Bowling Green having a lot of difficulty scoring the ball.
That wasn't a block shot, definitely a change shot. Watch how the shot changes. Doesn't even get to the rim. Javon Clark could feel the shot blocker and knew he had no angle to the basket.
Run on the drive to the goal is going to be called for an offensive foul as he charges right into the Bowling Green defender. 35, Cameron Black taking the body for the team there.
Well, that is gutsy by Cameron Black. I'm not sure I want to get in front of Victor Rudd in that situation. That's a lot of man coming at you.
Yeah, Rudd is listed at 235. Playing his 69th game as a member of the South Florida Bulls. Clark with a catch and shoot 3 missing. That's not been a strength for Bowling Green tonight.
No touch inside. That's not Lewis Orr offense. They need to get back to that inside outlook.
That's a 3 from the corner by Abdul Aleem, who misses, and both teams now trade possessions with the lead remaining at 11.
I say no shot unless Holmes or Black gets a touch in the paint. Look for Black down low, number 35 in white.
Henderson's shot blocked by Egbunu. That's 6 block shots tonight for South Florida.
And that's the first time he's blocked the ball out of bounds. Usually he leaves it in play and he's saying, my bad, my bad. So he knows he can keep that ball in play. That's actually a defensive mistake right there because he's good enough to keep the ball in play for a fast break to the other end.
Instead, the ball remains in the possession of the Falcons with 12 to shoot. Clark splits the defense, drives to the goal, and we'll get 2 free throws, but that's a little bit more of Clark's game as opposed to trying to shoot outside.
Yeah, he's best off the bounce.
In the opening game this season, the win over Earlham, he had 8 assists, 6 steals, 17 points, 3 rebounds.
Well, it's a little bit of fool's gold, too.
Yeah.
When you play somebody like Earlham and then all of a sudden you play South Florida. Well, listen, Bowling Green's not out of this thing by a long shot. Down by 10 right now. But this is a team that likes to get up and down. You got a big kid inside, and Cameron Black, I'd like to see him get more touches inside.
Because of the shots that are being rejected, does that lead the guards to want to shoot further out?
It just gets in their heads. They start changing shots, they start forcing things. So how do you combat it? You go down to your big guy and let him go one-on-one and try to get the other bigs in foul trouble.
They have a 3/4 court press that Lewis Orr will put on from time to time. That one did not result in a turnover as you take a look at Anthony Henderson maybe shaking up a bit on the play.
And Anthony Collins in the game. Now he's going to test out that knee a little bit. Swollen left knee, trying to get him some minutes.
You will see Marcus Smart in Oklahoma State. In days ahead, they want Collins ready for that and possibly the trip to Vegas.
Boy, Travis Ford got a lot smarter.
All you coaches do when you get good players,
no
right?
question. When you have Marcus Smart, you get a lot smarter.
Just
nice
3
pass.
to shoot it. Missed by Hawkins to the outside. Let's see if the Falcons get something going. And Henderson fouled at open court by Collins. Sam Heath says Anthony Collins the difference maker in this team. But tonight with limited minutes to Collins, it's the interior game that's been a big difference for the Bulls, who lead by 9. 6'10" Cameron Black expected to add more offense to Bowling Green's attack, especially in light of the fact that Chauncey Orr's not available tonight, but he has been limited to 2 points.
Let's look at why. Cameron Black at 6'10", 248 pounds. Watch this shot. He's number 35 right underneath the basket. Watch as the ball progresses. Cameron Black is the last guy coming down on offense. If he wants to score, he's got to earn his points first in a 94-foot situation and sprint the floor. Right now, he's the last guy down. He's got to be the first guy down, and then he can command the ball on the block. That's why he has been ineffective tonight.
In high school, Black was 6'2", and he grew a half a foot. Bowling Green has been limited to just 2 points, 1 basket in the paint tonight after 53 the other night. You mentioned fool's gold. That's a pretty accurate description. On the drive to the goal, nicely done by Javon Clark.
That Javon Clark is just so dangerous off the bounce.
Hard to put much stock in exhibition games or in a game where you beat your opponent by 50-some points, but Clark had, oh my, a dunk by Chris Perry on the other side. Clark had 10 assists in the first exhibition game this year, and the lead is back to 9.
Chris Perry has a 7'4" wingspan. Jumps pretty well too, but that wingspan makes you a lot more effective around the rim.
And like Egbunu, he is a freshman.
And I wonder if Black also is getting a little bit frustrated by not getting the ball on the offensive end.
Well, let's see if he can get a touch here, although they're in transition with Clark. And he is likely going to the free throw line off the foul by Hawkins. Let's go back to some highlights moments ago scored by the Bulls.
Chris Perry can't be the man, according to Stan Heath. He was the man on that play.
Grew up in Bartow, Florida. That's about 40 minutes away from campus. And he added 20 pounds in the offseason.
His vertical went up 4 inches in the offseason. His bench press went up 40 pounds.
Wow.
Put in a lot of work to gain the right kind of weight.
In this second half, all 4 fouls in the game have been called on South Florida, so there's an opportunity for Bowling Green to get points with the clock stopped if they continue at this juncture to draw personals. But that is number 3, Zach Leday, who saw limited activity in the first half.
Well, he brings a lot of energy to this basketball team. Physically tough, mentally tough. Zach Leday, number 3 in green.
At one point in the first half, Bowling Green led 18-13. Then South Florida went on a 10-0 run and has pretty much assumed command since then. That's a 3 for Javon Clark. Well, he's not going to stop shooting, Mark.
No, he shouldn't. He's the one guy that could make a basket right now against this tough South Florida defense.
Clark has 13 points, but it's taken him 16 field goal attempts to get to that.
I think that should be a rule change right there. Why should you be able to call a timeout to save a 10-second call at the 9th second of the possession? 26 seconds on the shot clock, and Stan Heath recognized it. You do it by rule, call a timeout, but I think that needs to be a rule change where if you're within 1 second or 2 seconds of the 10-second call, I don't think you should be able to call a timeout and bail your team out.
Got to get you somehow, some way in the committee in future years.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah. Moments ago, Clark, and I mentioned his shooting, Mark. He has attempted 16, made 4.
He's gotten going here lately. He really got intimidated off the bounce in the first half. He's getting a little bit more of a rhythm now here in the second half.
But is it important for him to try to spread the wealth a little bit here and try to get other people some touches?
Well, I still think Lewis Orr, who's always been known for playing inside-out basketball, to get those touches inside. They opened up the half with a nice little touch inside for Cameron Black and haven't gone back to it. I'd like to see Bowling Green attack those big guys inside out more often.
45-38 Bulls. 13.5 for the game and a foul called out front. First Falcon foul of the second half.
Stan Heath, a former MAC guy, assistant coach here at Bowling Green under Jim Larinaga. Of course, he led Kent State to the NCAA tournament, Elite 8 run in 2002. Had success in Arkansas and now South Florida.
He says the thing he learned most from Larranaga was the business side of college basketball back in the day. Clark, a little crossover drive to the goal. Well done.
With Javon Clark now able to attack, John Egbunu will come back in the game to bring that shot blocker back in the game to take away that dribble penetration. Bad place to stop with the basketball.
Day gets rid of it. Did he turn it over? Perry saves. And somehow the possession continues.
Man, that was ugly. It worked out, but it was ugly.
15 to shoot. Now Collins low to the ground, off the wing. And a push inside. It's going to be on the Falcons. We'll stay here.
As Zach Leday, that energizer guy that goes the offensive glass. Got to push.
The day out of the Colony, Texas, you may remember many years ago, Bracy Wright, heralded freshman from that area, playing for Indiana after their run in 2002 to the championship game, in which you mentioned earlier they beat Kent State in the regional finals in Lexington.
Bracy Wright, you're on top of your game tonight.
Hope that doesn't age me here.
Blast from the past there.
Yeah.
How'd you come up with that one?
Well, I just
Pretty
remember
good.
the 02 championship game, thank you, and Kent State beaten that regional finals by 15 made threes by Indiana. Remember, Indiana beat Duke the previous game after trailing by 17. Well, we're to a two-score game here with 7.5 minutes gone, second half. And free throws coming up for Victor Rudd.
You know, this almost feels like a road game for Bowling Green. They just keep hanging around. You know, they just want to have a chance to win this thing in the end.
And it's a small crowd tonight, so you're not getting a great deal of support. It'll go with the way the momentum of this game goes.
Yeah, there hasn't been a big run for Bowling Green. There have been individual plays, but there hasn't been that run for Bowling Green to get the crowd into it. What a beautiful facility, too.
It is.
I hadn't been back to Bowling Green since they built this, and man, I really like it a lot. It's a great size, beautiful looks, aesthetically from the outside with all the glass. Inside, a little bit of natural light comes through during the daytime. Really bright, airy facility. I like it.
The women played here earlier tonight, defeated Niagara comfortably. Like to play some doubleheaders occasionally in the Mid-American Conference. Javante Clark, who's gotten hot as of late. With Spencer Parker. And with 11:54 to go in the game, we come back. We've got some free throws to take care of. Bowling Green is down 7. South Florida 47, Bowling Green 40. Back to business here at Bowling Green, where the Falcons trail by 7, but have inched a little closer after trailing by double digits for most of this beginning part of the second half.
Bowling Green at home kind of hanging around like a road game. Down by 7, under 12 to go. Stan Heath knew this would be a difficult battle going on the road to MAC. Very unusual for a school from the American like South Florida, formerly with the Big East, to go on the road and play a MAC school like this in a home-and-home series. Last year was a triple overtime thriller.
Victor Rudd had a big 3 in that game for South Florida to bring them back. They won it 87-84. Spencer Parker getting the starting assignment tonight in the place of the injured Chauncey Orr, the coach's son.
This is the key free throw right now, because you know Bowling Green's going to come out in a trapping defense out of a made free throw. And now they can't set their defense.
No, but they get an offensive rebound off a missed free throw. It's happened a couple times tonight. Bad pass there, but picked up by Black.
Oh, through behind him.
Anthony Collins, limited activity recently because of a knee injury, but seeing some action tonight, and they could use him.
And this 2-3 zone has been effective against South Florida. They have not been able to get into gaps and make as many plays as they did in the first half.
And from the exterior part, they've hit 2 of 8 threes, but when they attack the goal, they've been really difficult to stop. And Victor Rudd has been a force.
Yeah, the left hand softly off the glass, got in that little weak spot of the zone and just attacked, knife to the basket. We'll run and jump here.
To Parker inside, reverse layup, good. Back to 7-point game.
Stan Heath decided to gamble, lost on that possession with the run and jump.
Here comes that 3-quarter court press.
Watch out for the trap at the half-court area. Right here, splits it.
Collins, little floater, good. Anthony Collins, he's back.
That's really smart, because Collins took it into a dangerous area, but he saw the split of the defenders and exposed the split, got into the gap, little floater. Well done.
How many times do you see a team break the press but not attack the goal? And Egbunu sends that one away. He's knocked 2 of them out of the park here in this game. Let's take a look at Anthony Collins moments ago.
Watch Anthony Collins. Watch the split. See the split of the defenders? And he exposes it right there. That's just smart point guard play. If you catch that ball and stand, you are a victim at that point. He decided to be the attacker.
He had 194 assists last year and had some opportunities that went by the wayside because of injury. And Rick Pitino, head coach of defending champion Louisville, says he was really impressed with him. So we spent a lot of time looking on how to go up against this guy who plays so low to the ground.
Oh, he's smart too. You can see him. He's just always thinking about the next pass and 2 passes and 3 passes forward. Bad shot.
Tipped in though from the weak side by 22. Rashawn Holmes, who missed almost all the first half with fouls. We'll go back and forth between 9 and 7-point leads here in this game for South Florida. Foul called on the Falcons. It's on Anthony Henderson. For Henderson, that's his 2nd foul. 3 fouls in the game for Spencer Parker, and 3 also on Cameron Black. As a team, 4 on Bowling Green and 6 on South Florida. Well, Collins can take it inside, and he can shoot it from the outside.
Yeah, I can see why they want him healthy really fast. Very savvy point guard.
Got some pretty important competition coming up, including Mississippi State, UNLV, and Oklahoma State. I should say potentially UNLV if they meet them in the 2nd round of the Las Vegas Classic.
That's my favorite time of the early season, when you have all the neutral site games.
Mine too.
I think that's when you can really evaluate which conferences are good, which teams are good, because there's not the home court advantage involved and all those kinds of things. And that's frankly where you see the most upsets too, is during those Thanksgiving and holiday tournaments on neutral floors.
The Orleans Arena has hosted a tournament in Vegas along with the Thomas and Mack Center. I was out for the tournament at the Orleans Arena a few years ago, connected to a casino there. And
yeah.
Pretty good support for the games.
Did you win anything?
I didn't play.
Don't you?
Smart.
Boring.
But effective. Came home on the plus side. Black's free throw is good. Josh Gomez back in. He knocked down a 3 in the first half and a mid-range 2. You were saying they need his offense here in the second half to have a chance. Against the trap, Rudd gets it across court, and he'll get in the hands of a couple of point guards.
South Florida is burning 7 to 8 seconds every possession just to beat that little three-quarter court pressure.
Beat it earlier when Collins split the defense. Got the ball in his hands with 10 to shoot it. That's going to be 3 free throw opportunities, I believe, coming up for the shooter, Martino Brock.
Rashawn Holmes, 73 blocks last season, but look at the closeout. You've got to close out at an angle where you can fly past the shooter versus into the shooter.
This has been a tough game for Holmes. He has 3 personal fouls, 2 points, and he hasn't seen much playing time.
It normally changes the game on the defensive end with his shot blocking ability. We have not seen that tonight either.
If South Florida was to lose this game, it will come down to missed free throws. There have been a bunch.
Boy, how important is it this year with the more frequent whistles for teams to make free throws? And now more than ever, free throws become so important.
So if you were still coaching, would there be more emphasis on it, more practice?
Absolutely. There was always a lot of emphasis. I had some good free throw shooting teams, some real bad ones too.
Falcons 3 against 2. Gomez can't score inside though, and he tips it out to Anthony Collins. Collins, inside layup, but I think that might have been intended for Egbunu, but Brock got it instead.
Well, and there's an example of Collins, though, recognizing he had numbers up front. Put the ball right on the mark.
Looks like a quarterback in football with that zone read where he's looking at the defense. And
he really does.
And able
he
to
checks
spot
down, doesn't he?
Yeah,
he checks
exactly.
down.
It's a good comparison. 57-49, Bowling Green not going away, but not able to get within that 2-possession area where you give them a good chance to win it.
Yeah, they can't get a 6-point run.
Nope.
They get a 2, maybe a 4 on occasion. Look at that!
From Collins to Corey Allen Jr.
Corey Allen, 6'1", 152, did not rattle the rim.
3 players now for the Bulls in double figures. Penetrating kick. Shot missed, though, by Henderson, and a breakaway for Allen. And South Florida regaining control, and another Bowling Green timeout.
Javon Clark was the guard on the opposite side when the shot was taken. He should rotate to the top of the key to be the first defender back. He stayed deep with that shot. That's why South Florida was wide open on the Snowbird on the opposite end.
Well, they're bringing back number 11, Anthony Collins, slowly. But, you know, here in the second half, he looks like the old Anthony Collins, if there is such a thing.
Well, in South Florida, they really want to run with the basketball, get it inside. How about Corey Allen? How many times do you throw an alley-oop to a 6'1", 152-pound running mate in the backcourt? That's pretty impressive.
Allen is a freshman. Egbunu is a freshman.
Man.
The only one with any great deal of experience on this team is Victor Rudd, 5th-year senior. A lot of upside for Stan Heath and the South Florida Bulls this year in the American Athletic Conference.
Yeah, Collins as a junior really plays a heady basketball game. He's got that swollen left knee. It has limited his minutes, but it must be feeling pretty doggone good tonight.
They have limited his practice as of late, just to kind of get him back in the groove. But Stan Heath told us today, look, we gotta get him back on the court.
Yeah. That's so hard to balance that, Jim, when you've got a guy that's really important to your team. He's got dinged up a little bit. It's really about managing those physical issues throughout the season.
Holmes on the drive to the goal, lays it in. Rashawn Holmes.
Light bulb starting to come on for Holmes.
20 years of age. Junior from Lockport, Illinois. Falcons could use a stop or two, but instead Rudd works his way in, and for the 6'9" forward. He is going to the free throw line when we return. 7:29 to go. Rashawn Holmes, limited because of fouls, scores for Bowling Green. Ramona Heath is the coach's wife, Stan Heath's wife on the right there. Looks pretty calm.
She's not calm. I talked to her before the game and I asked her, what's it like to have your husband and your son on the same team? She goes, oh, it's great. I said, but who do you support when there's conflict? And she said, I'm neutral. I did not accept the Switzerland answer. I said, look, I'm the father of 4 sons, Ramona, and I know who you're for. You're for Josh. She said, well, maybe that's the case.
Josh has not seen activity tonight. Chauncey Orr, the coach's son on the other side, is out with knee problems, a swollen knee.
It's really hurt the depth of this Bowling Green basketball team here tonight.
And Stan Heath, the head coach of South Florida, has got a decision to make with Josh. There's that possibility of redshirting him, but at the same time, you can't travel with the team if you're a redshirt.
There's Chauncey Orr right there. So he's going to take his time making that decision on whether if he redshirts his son. That's a good, smart, bad place to pick up the basketball. Got away with it.
Falcons trailing by 12. Not in position to trade baskets here. Javon Clark has taken the majority of shots tonight. He'll take one there and miss it. Offensive opportunity for Holmes. They could use an and one. And instead, Holmes will have to earn the points from the free throw line as Chris Perry got a hold of him.
Javon Clark really starting to hunt for his shot right now. And there's some other father-son duos. How about Doug McDermott? I think the best player in the country. And that kid, I saw him all last year in the Missouri Valley Conference. He dropped 41 on Wichita State in the regular season championship game. Billy Barron can really shoot the ball for his dad, Jim, at Canisius. R.J. Hunter, watch out for Georgia State. That is one of the most talented teams that you haven't heard a lot about with R.J. Hunter. Ryan Harrow, who started out at North Carolina State, then went to Kentucky, now at Georgia State under Ron Hunter.
Ron Hunter took a team out of Indianapolis prior to Georgia Southern, got them to the NCAA tournament and kissed the floor when the big moment happened with the tournament championship win.
IUPUI.
Falcons are in the bonus, and maybe they work their way back by way of the free throw line. Down 10.
Well, this little full court pressure has been pretty effective so far. Really burned some clock, which that's the bad side. The good side is South Florida's kind of struggled against it a little bit.
Will work its way into the offense with 20 to shoot. High screen from Egbunu. Now he gets down in the paint. And here's Rudd. Good shot fake. Now he'll take the three. Victor Rudd gave it up, got it back.
He likes the big moment. We've seen it from him before. We're seeing it again tonight. He loves the spotlight during big-time moments of big-time games.
One of the few holdovers from the NCAA tournament team of 2 seasons ago. And with 6:16 left in the game, and the Bulls up by 13, they are in command.
Now Bowling Green now has to gamble a little bit more. They've got to force turnovers out of this full court pressure. They just can't burn clock.
Allen back to Rudd. Rudd doesn't take it this time.
That's smart, real smart.
Bleed some clock here. In the hands of a sure-handed ball carrier, and Collins. Hand off to Rudd inside. Offensive foul, Victor Rudd.
And Javon Clark stood in and took the charge. There was a communication that went out from John Adams to all the officials about the fact that you can call a charge. It's okay to call a charge. It's just because they changed the rules, and if the ball's coming up, etc., and a defender has to be set, it seemed to be there were a lot of blocking calls early in the first week. Now you're starting to see a little bit more charges.
Victor Rudd with that offensive foul now has 4 for the game. He is out with 16 points. But his team is in good position to go 3-0. Tisdale cut off at the baseline to Holmes. They could use this. Fights for the loose ball, and they get it back. Holmes made that happen, and Bowling Green gets a field goal out of it.
Yeah, Rashawn Holmes has really been a difference maker here in the second half for Bowling Green. He's ticked his game up over the last 5 minutes.
They didn't have him much in the first half, did they,
No.
with the fouls?
Now we're seeing why he's so important to this Bowling Green basketball team.
And no Chauncey Orr tonight, who had 14 points in the opening game win over Earlham because of injury. Inside, beautiful pass, and Zach Lede finishes it off.
Zach Lede, another guy with real good hands. He's got that tight end look to him.
He does. 6'7", 245. Falcons taking a while getting into the offense.
Yeah, they don't really have a breakdown guy. Javon Clark would be the closest guy that can break it down off the dribble. Nice.
Instead, Cameron Black back to the basket scores. It is 68-57 with South Florida in a great spot to trade hoops. Both teams, by the way, now are in the bonus.
Well, you always just feel like with Anthony Collins in the game, there's a calmness about this basketball team.
Little push, 3 misses from the outside. It's knocked out of bounds. It will belong to Bowling Green. But you're right, Collins doesn't look like anything bothers him out there.
No, he's just always under control, always directing traffic, and puts you in a position to get a good shot nearly every possession. Very, very smart.
Chance for the Falcons to get within 9.
Well, Javon Clark has shown that he really wants to hunt down his shot. Boy, you got to get it inside. Too late.
They get the ball back somehow and score it anyway.
A little bit lucky, but it works.
Yeah. Anderson cuts it to 7, and what a steal by Holmes.
Big possession.
Make that 9, 68-59, and Parker on the drive. Foul called, and free throws coming up for Spencer Parker. So a little bit of a momentum change here in the game.
Ball goes inside, deflected. Sometimes you run great offense. Sometimes you get a little bit lucky.
Saw they draw it up. Mark, you mentioned the calmness of Collins. His coach says he's the kind of guy that commands respect out there without yelling.
And he does lead this basketball team. Against full court pressure, splits the defenders. He's always surveying the court, looking for the best opportunity to score. He's truly a point guard that leads by example, but he allows his team to think they're the ones that have the great idea to play hard. They're the ones that are going to execute. That's true leadership from Anthony Collins.
In limited activity tonight, already 5 assists.
Yeah, he averaged 6.5 assists per game last season, number 14 in the country. Well, these are big free throws right now for Bowling Green.
Falcons are 9 of 16 from the free throw line, so that number is under what you just saw in that graphic.
This
Parker
team
gets the first one.
typically shoots free throws very effectively at home. Got to make this one, though. This sets your full court pressure.
And he didn't.
That hurts. And you never want to go 1 for 2, but if you're going to make one of them, make the second one.
Yeah. 10 of 18 now in the night. That's under 60%. And it keeps the crowd out of the game as well. 8-point South Florida lead. We'll wind the clock down and look for the best shot. In the hands of Collins. 8 to shoot it. Victor Rowe with 4 fouls. Missed it. Rebound to Holmes and a chance for the Falcons.
Clark or Holmes?
Anderson missing on the 3. Rebound taken down by Egbunu.
It's a good shot from Henderson, but when Holmes has played as well as he have, you got Clark off the bounce. Though that's got to be option 1 and 2.
Look at the split by Collins. And now the Bulls are starting to miss. Didn't take much time off the shot clock in that possession either. Another opportunity for the Falcons to get within 2 scores.
Well, 4 shot with 2 defenders.
Javon Clark is 6 of 23.
Yeah.
Pass or shot? Well, Egbunu gets it back. And now Allen and Holmes will set it up.
You go 6 for 23 when you force shots like that against 2 defenders. Just a bad decision. He's talented enough to really make a difference for this Bowling Green basketball team.
Allen on the drive, blocking foul called. Ball goes in the basket. Let's see if they ruled a made goal. Yes.
Watch Spencer Parker, number 3. See if he gets set. He was moving forward as the ball was coming up. That's a good call by the official. You can't move forward, then set your feet as the ball is starting to move forward and up into the shooting pocket. And that's exactly what happened on that play. Bang, bang, but I think the official got it right.
I did too. There's the NCAA rule book on block and charge plays, and when guarding an airborne player, defenders must obtain legal guarding position before the opponent begins his upward motion with the hands or arms to shoot or pass the ball.
Let's watch. Ball's coming up. Yep, it's the right call. He was gathering, bringing up to make a play.
Last year, how do they call it?
That's probably a charge last year, because he had his feet set.
It's potentially a 5-point swing based on last year's legislation, the rules, because Allen got the made basket and now gets the and one.
Yep. Look, I like the rules the way they're being enforced as far as the Freddie and Frida right there. Is that who we're talking about?
I don't know if that's going to go viral like your moment Monday night.
Rockstar Grannies?
Yeah.
125,000 and count, baby.
Wow. Corey Allen Jr. at the free throw line has 16 points, 6 rebounds. South Florida tonight has taken only 45 shots, made 26 of them.
You know what's been interesting about Corey Allen is that when he was playing the point without Corey Allen in the game, without Anthony Collins in the game. You know, he was much more assertive offensively. When he rolled to the off guard, he's been a little bit more quiet. It's been interesting to watch. You'd expect the opposite.
Now a steal by Brock. Can he get it back, though? Falcons re-steal the ball. Need to get points in a hurry. Parker on a drive to the goal. And Holmes, attempting to follow up, is fouled by Egbunu.
Well, Egbunu changed the first shot and then got a little bit too physical on the second attempt.
Egbunu tonight with 7 rebounds, 4 block shots.
Yeah, and how many has he changed?
Yeah.
Probably half a dozen.
Yeah, and a dozen points, by the way.
Now, this is a Division I player going in for a layup. I mean, that's an open layup. Doesn't even catch rim. That's what a great shot blocker does. It makes you change the shot.
Who came to the United States just 3 years ago and played basketball for the first time at age 16. There's a plus side to that. You don't pick up a lot of bad habits.
Got a little Elijah Wan in his game, doesn't
he? Does, yeah. How about Mutombo? He's not wagging the finger.
Yeah. Maybe he'll learn that.
Yeah. Falcons have to foul now. They're in a desperate mode, trailing by 10, and they can't afford for South Florida to use clock.
The greatest shot blocking team in NCAA history, 1989. Alonzo Mourning and Dikembe Mutombo. Pretty formidable back line to guard the hoop, huh?
Fun to watch. Can you imagine what those practices were like under John Thompson Sr.?
Great goaltenders.
Anthony Collins wasn't expected to play much tonight. Didn't play much in the first half. Felt very comfortable here in the second half. Seen a lot of activity. And he is back, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep, had swelling in the left knee. His brother J.D. played for West Virginia.
He did.
Good player, too. Tough kid.
Little push shot on that free throw attempt.
Yeah, it's just solid, too. A little bit of a manufactured shot, but very, very consistent release.
Off the inbounds pass, tracked down by Brock. South Florida set to win for the 3rd time this year without a loss and give Stan Heath his 200th career win.
Well, South Florida has played a very solid game on the road, and this is a team that has struggled to get road wins over the last couple of years. It's a nice start for this basketball team with 1:16 to go. They've been very, very solid here on the road.
Assumed control late in the first half and has not given up the edge. 3 to shoot it for Allen. Beats the shot clock. And seals the game if it hasn't already been sealed.
Little dipsy-do right there.
Yeah. Corey Allen with 17 points. Bulls get on the bus back after this game is over, and it's going to be a happy return to the airport and on the way to Tampa tomorrow morning.
South Florida has been stingy defensively, anchored by John Egbunu down low. The shot blocker. Offensively, the big fellas run the floor well, and how about Collins doing a good job of running this basketball team throughout the second half.
And I think, my friend, you're going to have some fun in that Oklahoma State game.
Yeah, pretty good guards.
John Egbunu and Corey Allen Jr., both freshmen. Rather, Allen's a junior, excuse me.
Yep.
Yeah, Egbunu, freshman.
Pretty good freshman to build with.
No, he has burst on the scene tonight. And Anthony Collins, a junior from Houston, Texas. Appears to be, from our vantage point, fully healed, or pretty close to it. South Florida make changes. And Stan Heath set to wrap up win number 200. And 4-0 against Bowling Green.
Looking forward to Joe Jackson and Memphis going up against these guards from South Florida as well. Be an entertaining matchup.
Memphis the 351st team to start play this year. And, of course, the Tigers won their opener.
Well, they've got a habit of winning a lot of games in Memphis, Tennessee. Josh Pastner's done a tremendous job down there. Got their first NCAA win last season. Good win for South Florida.
Stan Heath and the Bulls now 3-0.
Stan Heath, a bit of a homecoming, the former head coach at Kent, also the former assistant here at Bowling Green, brings his team on the road from South Florida, gets a win.
This team blocked a variety of shots in the first half, altered minis as well. And that results in a South Florida victory on the road, just their 17th over the last 74 road games.
John Egbunu, I thought, made the biggest difference here in the first half. He just outran everybody down the floor, and defensively was a human rejection unit inside for this defensive-minded South Florida team. Well done by the big guy.
For Mark Adams, I'm Jim Barber. So long from Bowling Green, Ohio. Our final tonight, 75-61. The 3-0 Bulls. To watch this entire game on replay, as well as other games on our family of ESPN networks, log on to watchespn.com or download the Watch ESPN app. This has been a presentation of ESPN.